Now that we are a couple of days into the season, the pros are finally starting to learn the meta. They're learning which drop spots they want to go for this season. I thought this was the perfect time to make a recap for where every single pro is landing, who their trio is actually going to be, and which drop spots are looking the best for the Star Wars season. We have a lot of different trios, a couple of teams even considering going to West. We're going to see the starts though. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. Please just go K-Dog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. Follow me on my Twitch, linked in the description down below, because we're going to get back to streaming over there very soon once tournaments actually start. Without further ado though, let's start off this video with the two LAN teams that qualified that are not playing this season together. So I think this is the most recent announcement that we have gotten. We have Veno tweeting out boxcars for Star Wars, Major 3, and Globals, and he tagged Flixie, Shark, Vico, and Raz. So if you're wondering like, oh, why is he tagging 3 different people? He is playing this season with Flixie and Shark, and then he's going to go back next season and Globals, of course, playing with Vico again. I have heard so many different reasons on why Veno, Vico, and Flixie are not playing this season. I've heard things with like the Reload Cup. I've heard things that there was like drama in between them after Grands. I don't 100% know what to believe, to be honest, but it looks like these guys are definitely not going to be playing this season together, but they will 100% be back for next season, and it looks like they are trying to early claim a drop spot, now going to Brutal Boxcars. The thing about this spot though is this spot is already very heavily contested. As of right now, this spot is already quad contested by 1 Vico, Flixie, and Shark, Tayson, Harissa, and Chicho, Seti, Hari, and Cammy, and Moneymaker, Fanayan, and Faded. So there is already 2 LAN trios going here, and then 1 team that we probably expect to make LAN, and then 1 kind of like wild card trio. I would expect for the people that are going to leave this spot, it'll probably go Moneymaker will leave first, and then I really don't know what's going to happen with the 3 other teams that are currently landing here. I'm glad that Veno is finally trying to lock down a drop spot earlier than he did last season, since we all know the main issue that they had, and the reason why they didn't arguably finish top 3 or even win FNCS was because they quite literally didn't even have a spot to go to. So I like the fact that he is trying to get ahead of the curve now and pick a spot for next season, and even saying that he's already claimed it for Globals now as well. I don't necessarily love the fact that he is playing with Shark this season instead of Vico. I think we do all know how crazy this trio is and that they do have the potential to be a top 3 team in the entire world. It seems like they are one of the only big name teams on the entire region that isn't just sticking together for the season and continuing to grind it out, especially since they already have a LAN qualified spot. I get the reason why they don't want to stick together, but I don't know how they plan on claiming a drop spot that is currently quad contested when they're not even playing with their official trio. All right, let's talk about one that could lead to some very interesting consequences in the future. We saw Sphinx tweet out, still going bottom right with bolts and a +1. So if you're wondering like, oh, what happened to Kanata? It looks like Kanata is going on vacation for this entire month, so he will not be playing any of the Star Wars season. I think there is still a possibility that he comes back before the season ends, and maybe they get to play like the last tournament together or something, but it looks like as of right now, the plan for Kanata is for him to be going on vacation all season long, and then he will be back for next season fully grinding. I think this could lead to some very interesting things, since we know Bolts is not like necessarily the most loyal player to any trio that he is on, and he will always be down to look for some other options, and especially in a season like this could be the perfect opportunity if he doesn't want to play with Sphinx, that he could really just try out with any trio that he wants to. This could lead to a very big Snake season once Kanata comes back, because we all know how insane Kanata still is. If Bolts and Sphinx somehow perform better with a different player than they did with Kanata, will Kanata end up getting dropped from this trio? Since we know that Bolts, Sphinx, and Kanata were necessarily not really anything too crazy when they played together, they got 7th place in the Div Cup and then 7th place in Grand Finals. This team doesn't have like a LAN spot secured or anything already, and with only 1 season remaining to book their ticket into the FNCS Global Championships, it is now or never for these guys to really lock in. Next up, I want to talk about something that could be a real future for the next season, and that is with trios going to NA West. Now, we all know that NA West, you have to either win NA West or place within inside like the top 2 if the team that won the season before, since there is only 1 LAN spot for West. But we have already seen a couple of people announce that they are officially going to be playing on West, like Virgo, Victor V, and Paper. This is a really interesting trio to me for a couple of different reasons. One, I feel like Virgo is just in a lot of a different spot than like Victor V and Paper are. I think a lot of us could probably agree that Virgo is the best one at all of these three. He is coming off of a very disappointing season though, where he wasn't able to make it into grand finals. Victor V really hasn't found any like super trio success so far, but he has been placing pretty well in solos. And then Paper has quite literally been retired for the past like 2 or 3 months. So I don't even necessarily know what led to this trio being formed. I guess Paper just wants to come back to the game now, give it one last shot to try to make globals, as we do know that the Paper and Victor V duo were able to make it to globals last year. And so now I guess they're just going to be picking up Virgo, and I would have to assume that they are going to be playing on West, because Paper tweeted out looking for trio on West with Victor V, landing best drop and winning FNCS. And so Victor V is going to be going to 0 ping for West, and I think Paper is as well. I know Virgo currently lives on Central though, so I'm curious if he's also going to be moving to West, or if he's going to be playing from like 30 or 40 ping to Central to West. But they are currently landing the Resistance base, and it looks like they're trying to claim like so much different parts of the map as well. Do I think this team is better than like any of the trios that have already won on West, like Bakapars and Pump, or even like Arc, Salco, and School? I'm not even 100% sure yet. I think they are kind of just banking off of the fact that those guys will probably place higher than them, and then as long as they are the team that is right under them, they will get their spot secured into LAN. I think as of right now, this looks like a smart strategy for them to do, but I wouldn't be surprised, and we already have to talk about another trio that could potentially be doing that in a little bit. But since we all know that next season is the last season to secure your spot in LAN, how many of these top pros are going to decide that they want to try to do it on West? We saw this happen a bunch last year when a bunch of the EU pros moved down to Central. So I'm wondering if a lot of these Central pros are now going to try to do that on West. There is the big factor that one of the really good teams on Central is not going to be in LAN, since there's only 2 spots up for grabs for the NA Central LAN spots left. And we also got to see that with Bucky's potential brand new trio, as he hasn't confirmed anything yet, but he does want to leave the possibility open to potentially playing on West for the last season. And it looks like his trio options right now is either going to be Okus and Noxy, but he also said he is down to potentially explore completely new options as well. I feel like going West wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing for him if he's able to find a good trio over there, because I think a lot of us could agree that it is probably going to be easier to qualify on West than it is going to be to get one of those 2 spots remaining on Central. We might even see Bucky reunite with somebody like Craze, but I think he really is just keeping all of his options open right now. And then the last brand new trio that I think we have is the trio of Muzz, Rise, and Shadow. Now I think these guys are also just currently in the trying out phase. We know that Shadow, Curve, and Tyler split up so that Tyler and Curve could play with Aviv now. This is like the 30th time that trio has split up though, so I don't know how much I really believe that Shadow isn't just gonna go back to Curve and Tyler. I mean, I guess if he can 100% lock his spot with Rise and Muzz, that is probably a better option for him than going back to Curve and Tyler. And he also probably does have a better chance of qualifying for LAN. We did see Muzz like talk about maybe going back to OCE, but I'm pretty sure he said that is going to be like a last resort, and he still wants to play on Central for this season with Rise. This is one of the trios though that I wouldn't be surprised if by this time next season we're talking about all 3 of them with potentially different trios. I still think there is maybe a possibility that Muzz gets a call up from an even better trio, and it'll just be an offer that he cannot resist, and we might see Muzz on a fully new team, which would lead to Rise probably looking for a new team, and then Shadow might just go back to Curve and Tyler if they don't do too well with Aviv. I know this is kind of like a filler season, but there is just going to be so much drama next season with all of these trios trying to get into LAN. All right, now let's talk about some of the trios that ended up sticking together and where they are going to be landing for this season. So I think the main one that we have to talk about, and I talked about the other day, is Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs currently versus Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual at the First Order base. Now I think this one is super cool because both of these trios just want to land at the best drop spot on the map for this season. I don't think anybody knows 100% sure or not yet if these Star Wars POIs are going to be staying on the map for next season. This could just be fully these guys landing here just for this season, and then they would both have to find a new drop spot for next. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams necessarily left before the tournaments actually start, but I think this would be one of the most fun storylines for this entire season, of who is actually the better off spawn team between Clix's trio versus Peterbot's trio. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below. I think for me personally, the trio of Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual are just all 3 better fighters and more just better off spawn players in general. So as of right now, I probably would have to pick them, but it looks like Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs are all grinding the game together, so they might potentially have more off spawn experience going there already. And then a trio that I saw a lot of people honestly being surprised that they stuck together was the trio of Panzer, Thomas HD, and Uppel. Now these guys tweeted out that they're going to Outpost Enclave, and I think the only reason why so many people were surprised is because I think the narrative for this trio after Grands is Thomas HD like carries them, I guess. And a lot of people wanted Thomas to find like a better third option than like Uppel and try to get like a main fragger in that role besides Uppel, who's more trying to still transition to a primary fragger. If you know me though, you know that I love when trios actually do stick together and they try to just improve slowly over time. This team was quite literally just one spot away from already being in LAN. EU still has 3 LAN spots next season, I'm pretty sure as well. So I think a lot of people can probably assume that this team is skilled enough, and if they just continue to build up chemistry with each other over time, that they can 100% make it into LAN. I don't think this would necessarily be a trio that I would be like, say, surprised if they did split up, but I do like that they are at least trying out for the rest of the season just to see how things go. And we talked about Veno and his new trio earlier, so let's actually talk about Vico and Ferdoxy and how they are currently going to the first order base. Now they still have not like 100% confirmed who their third is going to be for this season yet. We saw them try out in scrims yesterday with like Queasy and stuff, but I think Queasy is still sticking with Swizzy and Murstache, and they're most likely still going to be going to Seaport City. Maybe if Queasy sure wants to switch some things up for this season, we could see maybe one of them playing with Vico and Ferdoxy. So I guess we still have to leave that possibility on the board, but we haven't got any like 100% confirmation yet for who Vico and Ferdoxy are going to be playing with. We do though have 100% confirmation on who Pablo and Chino are playing with. That is Ferdoxy's trio and the team that just placed second place in Grands, and they are going to be playing with Bevies and landing at Mass Meadows. So it looks like they're going to continue to try to hold down the Mass Meadows POI for this season until they're able to get Ferdoxy back for next. And this team is also going to be currently contested by another brand new trio of Yanis, Vadil, and Rax there. Now, the more that I've thought about this trio, I still don't really know what I feel like their real potential are as a trio yet. We know that Yanis and Vadil have so much chemistry together, and then Rax is like an up-and-coming fighter, so the recipe for success is there. I just feel like this is a team that I'm going to need to see play a couple of tournaments together before I can really form my real opinion on them. Let's stay on the topic of trios that are contested though, and currently we have Mr. Savage Rezon and his new third of Chap versus Pigstar Mandemus at Crime City. Now, Crime City did get a little bit of a nerf this season, and that was why we saw players like Peterbot leave it. But Mr. Savage has already announced that they are going there, and Pigstar Mandemus have also already announced that they are going to be going there as well. I think this could be a little bit scary for Mr. Savage, Rezon, and Chap, because I do think that the Polish goat of Pigstar Mandemus are probably just currently better fighters than them. I think like overall through all 6 of these players though, Chap is probably the best off spawn fighter, and we did see Mr. Savage and Rezon do pretty well last season off spawn when they were contested in Grands, but Pigstar Mandemus are just such a scary fighting team in general, and this is going to be another one of the more entertaining off spawns we get to see this season. Obviously, since this season nothing really matters since there is no FNCS, but I don't think that Mr. Savage can continue to contest these guys next season since Pigstar Mandemus already do have their LAN spot secured, and we know that Mr. Savage's main goal to coming back to the game was getting a LAN spot, so Darm and them have no reason to leave. So if Mr. Savage really wants this drop spot, he needs to absolutely run them off spawn this season. And then we also do have like the FNCS champions on EU and a trio that placed 3rd place in their first ever grand finals together, both going the same drop spot of Flooded Frogs. And yes, that is the trio of Recooper and Curly and the trio of Marius, Pixie, and Vanya. Both these teams are deciding to stay at the spot that they had so much success from last season, which I think is a very smart thing for each of these guys to do. There's just a couple more trios I want to talk about, like Curve, Tyler, and Aviv. I know I talked about them earlier, but these guys are also still currently going to the first order base, which would mean that they are contesting Clix and Peterbot off spawn. I don't think that's going to last for very long though. I do probably assume that they will leave eventually. And then for some other brand new trios and their official drop spots, we have Yapko, Trulex, and Noah Riley announcing that they are officially going to Foxy Floodgate. So for anybody that missed it, yes, Yapko is now officially moving back to EU after playing on NA for a couple of seasons now. That is why Muzz and Rise had to find a new third, and they're currently going with Shadow. Since Shark left Trulex and Noah Riley, they decided to pick up probably one of the best options for them of Yapko, and I am very excited to see what that trio is going to do. I think Yapko fits their playstyle a lot better than Shark did, so I think just as a pure trio dynamic, they should hopefully improve. And then the last team I want to talk about is it looks like Booga, Threats, and Rapid are still sticking together and going to Seaport City. It looks like Craze is potentially trying to get himself back onto this trio now as well, and we all know Booga is the king of snake season at the end of the day, so I feel like if they really struggled this season, and especially since they don't don't have a land spot secured, do not be surprised if these guys end up switching some things up. Other than that though, remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I should have a couple of videos coming out over the next couple of days about the upcoming FNCS Pro-Am. I'm also going to be live streaming that on my Twitch, link in the description down below, so make sure you guys go drop a follow if you guys haven't already. Please go K-Dog in the Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. YouTube says I'm enjoying one of these 2 videos up on the screen right now, so go check them out if you guys haven't already. Follow me on my Twitter at K-Dog to keep up to date with everything to do with Fortnite competitive. Thank God for another day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.